Hello, welcome to devotional time at Temple Baptist Church. We're going to be in the book of Acts today, chapter 20 and verse 19. Again, it's unusual for me just to use one verse, but what else? Don't have to worry about you reading it or that, but it's just always good to be with you here by way of YouTube or Facebook or however you are watching this, and we would certainly encourage you, if you watch our devotionals, any of them, our Sunday school lessons, just let us know that you enjoy those. Share it with your friends, and we would just appreciate that. But in Acts chapter 20 and verse 19, the writer of Acts, Luke, says this: "Serving the Lord with all humility, with many tears and trials, which happened to me by the plotting of the Jews." You've done research on the Apostle Paul, and what we're finding here, and during his time in Ephesus, Paul contended with demons, endured citywide riots, and he preached the gospel continually for 3 months, despite opposition from the Jews and the pagans alike. And so, Paul he was under a tremendous persecution. He was not going to go into all the times he was beat and all that and the things that happened to him, but now Paul is getting ready to return to Jerusalem, where he anticipates that persecution and imprisonment. He calls here for the elders of Ephesians to meet with him one final time, a time of prayer and sharing. And what Paul is doing here, Paul describes his time in Ephesus with them as a time of humility, a time of tears, and a time of trials. Gospel ministry can be exciting, can't it? We see people respond to Christ. There's joy in the presence of the angels over one sinner that repented. There ought to be joy in us. And so, there's a tremendous cause for celebration, but it's got to be honest with you. Ministry is not always easy. And I'm not talking about from a minister standpoint as a pastor or associate pastor. I'm talking about anybody that delivers the gospel to anybody. It's just not easy. It would be if it's a bed of roses. Yeah, it'd be easy. But the gospel ministry often involves humility, tears, and trials. That's what Paul is talking. Serving the Lord with all humility, with many tears, and with trials, which happened to me by the plotting of the Jews. All these things are brought on by our enemy, the devil. So that's it. And but if we're not careful, we can allow the challenges of the ministry to cause us to give up. I want to make this statement, and nobody has a right to, but if anybody had a right to give up, it would have been the Apostle Paul. Everything he went through, I would have, I'm going to be honest, I think I would have probably just threw up my hands and said, "Lord, I can't handle this anymore," but not the Apostle Paul. And that's what we got to be careful of, give us, we got to avoid and the missed opportunities to impact lives for the gospel. It just there. Don't let it be difficult for ministry to keep you from what God has called you to do. Don't be the misery that's there in this and all the things, the heartaches and things and trials that happen to us and as we're serving the Lord, but just don't let that keep you from what God has called you to do. Like I said, Paul and he said, "Yeah, Lord, I know you called me. This is more than I can bear." Well, I think probably today we would have had a tendency to do that if we were being persecuted that way. I'm just, except by the grace of God, we would do that. But prayerfully that God will rely on God when the time comes that we're persecuted like Paul was. There's Christians being persecuted today in the world. I realize that, and we pray for them. But just remember, God has called us to do something. He will equip us. We are called to present the gospel to a lost and dying world. He'll equip us. He'll be with us, and we can do it through the power of God. Thank you for being with us today. We invite you to our services here at Temple. We meet on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock, and then we have Sunday school classes beginning at 9. Then our second service is at 10. Sunday night service at 6, Wednesday night at 7. It would be an honor to see you at any and all of those services. May God bless you is our prayer.